Hello and hi, I am Sina and you're watching Coffee and True Crime. And I would like to give out a brief description about my channel. So these are two of my, I love drinking coffee and I love sitting to drink coffee and watch true crime. So I'm fascinated by true crime and I was like, you know what, there aren't a lot of, and I mean, I didn't say that, but during this lockdown, I've been watching a lot of YouTube channels and on true crime, and usually it's like content from everywhere around the world besides South Africa. So I was like, you know what, let me see if I can try this out. So this is my very first attempt. I hope lockdown has been treating everybody okay, and I hope you're excited. Please like, subscribe, and I will leave my details in the comment section. Yeah, so that you can follow me on your socials. So I'm going to get straight into my very first case. But before I do that, I would like to send out a brief disclaimer that everything that I'm going to be talking about in this video, I hope not to offend anyone. I hope not to trigger anyone. I hope not to open any old wounds. I'm just doing all of this for documentation purposes. And I will not be lying about anything. All is just like the stuff that I've been able to access online. So yeah, without further ado. So the very first case that I'm going to be talking about is, I guess, probably one of the most properly documented cases that happened in South Africa. And I feel like a lot of people know about this case, even though I'm excited to be kind of like making a video about it. I'm not excited about the story and everything that happened, but I'm just like, it was so easy to kind of get information about it because it's been so beautifully documented. There's podcasts, there's articles. I even saw a video. There's a video on YouTube that somebody did about this case. But yeah, I hope you find something in my video that you probably didn't find it that one. But yeah, here goes. And also, this is my first attempt at YouTube, so please be nice, y'all YouTube people. Please be nice. And yes, the very first case that I'm going to be talking about is the gruesome and brutal murder of a young woman named Karabo Mokoena. So I'm going to be starting this case from the timeline of when her body was found and sort of like painting the whole pictures and revealing to you the other people that were also involved in this case. On the 29th of April 2017, the Sandringham police station in Lyndhurst, the north of Johannesburg, received a call from somebody who said that they had just identified what looks like the burnt remains of a human being. And the second the police officer who received the call got this call, she rushed to the scene, and when she got there, the construction man who had called in directed and showed her to the body. And when she got there, there were already other police officers already at the scene. And at this point, they couldn't tell if this was the body of a woman or a man until one of the police officers actually looked closer into this body and saw that the toes had something that looked like red nail polish. And that's when they assumed, or I guess determined, that it was the badly burnt body of a woman. And at this point, this is a fairly nice and safe neighborhood. Things like this don't happen. There hasn't been a case of anyone reported missing. So the police were confused and they sent the body to the local mortuary and went back to the station and opened a case of homicide. And this case was open for a few days until the police officer at the Sandringham police station got a call from the Morningside police station saying that they had a suspect that wanted to identify a crime scene. And the suspect is none other than Sandile Mansu. Sandile Mansu was a 28-year-old man who was living in Sandton, and he had graduated as a graphic designer, but he wasn't working as a graphic designer at this point. He was also estranged with his wife, and he had 3 kids. So Sandile was now owning a business called the $1 Billion Legacy, where he would teach people how to trade stock, and he also traded stock through that company. And he would charge people as high as 6,000 Rand for a one-day class where he teaches you how to trade stock. And his friends describe him as a nice guy who was God-fearing. He was always helping out at the church if the church needed anything. And his friends basically say that he was an okay guy. But Sandile also loved the lavish things in life. He loved expensive cars, expensive watches, expensive clothes, and he just loved beautiful things around him. And I think that's also something that this lifestyle that he had been living, running this forex trading business, afforded him. And Sandile was the suspect that wanted to identify a crime scene that had been discovered on the 29th of April 2017. The victim found at this crime scene was 22-year-old Karabo Mokoena. So Karabo Mokoena was a 22-year-old woman who lived in Soweto with her family, and she was a part-time business student, and she wanted to start an NGO. Her friends describe her as a bubbly, feisty, fierce, confident, ambitious, intelligent young woman who just wanted to make it in life. And Karabo and Sandile had actually met in 2016 in October and had started a relationship. And one of Karabo's friends even described him as the guy that Karabo would say that was the perfect guy for her. He was tall, he was ambitious, he had, I guess, he was right up there with the type of guys that Karabo liked. And one time Karabo called her and told her that she had met this guy and he was great and she was in love and she was happy until about a month into that relationship. And that's when things changed. Karabo told her friend that Sandile one time during an argument threw her against the wall and threw her phone onto the ground, breaking it. And that was the first incident within a month of their relationship. But that did not slow anything down, because a couple of weeks later, Karabo actually moved into the Santon high-rise apartment where Sandile was living. And that is when the abuse escalated. Apparently, there were times where he had kicked her, he had beaten her up so many times, but Karabo was getting very smart about this. It got to a point where she would send videos and pictures to her friends and family, and everybody just kept telling her, why are you with him? Why? Leave him. Leave him. But she didn't leave. One of her friends said that she looked like she was in a trance. She looked like she was under a spell being with this man. The relationship continued, and in February, her family also found out about this, and her family told her that it wasn't worth it, she needs to leave, but she didn't leave. And this was right around February, and her social media had went kind of dead at this point. And so she was not active on social media as she used to be. And on the 27th of March of that year, in 2017, it was her birthday, and her friends were calling her, and it's your birthday, it's a nice day, it's a good day. You want to be with the people that you love, you want to celebrate it with your friends. And that's when nobody could get into contact with her until later on that day, when she finally got into contact with her family. She told them that on the day that was supposed to be one of the best days of her life, her 22nd birthday, she was actually in a hospital because Sandile had beaten her to a point where she needed medical attention. So her family all rushed to her to the hospital, and her brother actually told her that you need to open a case against this man, because if you don't, something bad is going to happen. And even her mother said that she told her that if you don't leave him and he's put you in this hospital, he's going to kill you. And that was at that time when Karabo, I guess, she was thinking about stuff. And the following day, she actually went to the police station with her brother to open a case of assault. And when she got there, she found out that Sandile had been there just before her and opened a case of assault against her. And at this point, she was met by a police officer who said, we don't have time to investigate these domestic assaults. You guys just need to sort it out yourselves. And this is just something, I'm going to pause the story and say something. I'm like, this is something that a lot of police officers say to a lot of people when people are, especially to a lot of women, when they go and report gender-based violent crimes or domestic assault crimes. They're usually told that, you know what, this is a situation that you guys need to sort out yourselves, and we're not going to try and get involved because we don't have the resources or the energy. And after that incident with the police officers, Karabo moved back into her mother's house in Soweto, and that's where she was living at this time. And 2 weeks later after that, she went out with her friends in the clubs in Johannesburg, and that's when she saw Sandile for the first time. And at this point, one thing that people talked about was they hadn't seen each other in 2 weeks, and he hadn't apologized or said anything. And the first thing that Karabo did when she saw him, she pulled out her phone and called her mother and said, Sandile's here. And her mother was like, don't look at him, don't talk to him, just come back home. But Karabo didn't. She and Sandile actually ended up talking, and they ended up trying to sort out or fix their relationship, I guess. And even during this time, Karabo's friends would call her and text her and be like, do you see what he's doing on social media? Because he was apparently cheating on her all over social media. He was going on dates with other women. He was taking them out. He was buying them things. He was basically just trying to throw it in her face that he can do whatever he wants to do, and there's nothing that she can tell her. And they continued again to kind of like fix and sort out their relationship. And on the 26th of April 2017, Karabo called her mother and told her that she would be spending the day and maybe the night with Sandile. And her mother was like, you know what, you don't have to spend the night, but yes, you can see him. And if you can, please try and come home. And her mother called her later on that day, I guess maybe to find out if she was going to come home or not. But Karabo couldn't speak. She told her mother that she couldn't talk. She'll call her later. And on the 26th of April 2017, that was the last time that Karabo's mother heard Karabo's voice. On the 27th, her family tried calling her. Her mother tried calling her, but nobody could get into contact with her. And on the 28th, they also tried the same thing, but nobody could get into contact with her. And on the 28th, they actually started even calling some of her friends to find out if they had known where she was. And Karabo's mother actually called Sandile and asked Sandile where Karabo was. Sandile said that he hadn't seen her. The last time he saw her was on the 2017th. Was on the 27th of April 2017. And that was the last of it. But her mother persisted. She was calling, Karabo's mother was calling Sandile every single day, trying to find out, calling her friends. But one thing that her friends had to say was that they did see her on the 27th of April 2017. She was actually at a club with Sandile. They got into an argument and they subsequently left, and they've never seen her again after that. So her mother at this point was like, surely Sandile is the last person who's seen Karabo since anyone else. And she continued to call him, and he kept saying he doesn't know where she is, doesn't know where she is, until one call that I guess would freak anyone out. Karabo's mother said that she called Sandile and she asked him, she was like, where is she? What did you do with her? And Sandile said to her, and I quote, Mamzo, I don't know where Karabo is, and I didn't kill her. Close. And that was the last of it. And Karabo's mother said that really freaked her out, because she didn't accuse him of killing her. She didn't say anything about anyone being killed, so why would he say that? And anyway, Karabo's mother continued to call him, even though he claimed he didn't know where Karabo was, until on the 29th, Karabo's brother and sister went to the high-rise apartment, I guess to find out if anyone had seen her there. And when they got there, they were met by somebody who told them that they had not seen her, and they found the cleaners found her ID and her passport actually in the trash. And that was another thing that kind of like freaks you out. You start to really like, get freaked out. And at this point, her family, her friends, everybody was just reaching out to social media, trying to inform us that we should be on the lookout, that somebody is missing. And I remember this case was really, really big, because it was also like at a period where I guess gender-based violence was like something that the South African police and the media were trying to like take seriously, because for a long time it's like a woman was found dead, okay, this happened, okay, a woman is missing, okay. But at this point, we were all really scared, because we were like, this could be me, this could be the next person, this could be my friend. So at that time, the story blew up, And on the 30th of April 2017, Karabo's mother went to the Morningside police station to actually open a case of a missing person. And while she was there at the station, she actually asked the police officers if they could accompany her to the last place where she knows that her daughter was, and ask the person that lives there questions because he's not trying to tell her anything. So the police went with Karabo's mother to Sandile's high-rise in Sandton, and when they got there, he wasn't there, and they called him, and he said that he was not available at the moment, but he will be there later on in the night at like 9 p.m. So Karabo's mother said, we're going to wait. And they waited. So while they were waiting, the police saw that this is a nice building with cameras. So let's find out. So they found out that the cameras actually do work. And they asked for the CCTV footage of Karabo's recent visit to the building. And while the CCTV has a lot of, the CCTV on its own was a ball of evidence waiting to explode. But after that, Sandile did show up eventually at like 9:30 that night, and they set him down to question him. And the first thing they asked him was, where is Karabo? Do you know where she is? He continued to say that he doesn't know where she is, but he thinks she's in London. And the second he said that whole London story, the police were like, nope, you're coming with us. And they took him down to the station in Morningside and asked him a couple of questions. And at the police station in Morningside, after a really long time, that's when Sandile confessed that Karabo was dead. And that's when one of the female officers took Karabo's mother, Lolo Mokoena, into an office and sat her down and told her that Sandile had just confessed to them that Karabo is really dead. But before he said anything else, he was just like, she's dead, but I did not do it. And he had a lot of theories that I'm going to quickly get into and talk you through. And then I'm going to tell you how he said that he disposed of her body. So the first theory that he said was that he was not there and Karabo was killed by somebody else. He just came back and he found her body and disposed of it because he knew that the police were going to suspect him because him and Karabo had been in a tumultuous relationship and he had been abusive to her. And the second theory that he had was that Karabo had actually committed suicide because Karabo was depressed and Karabo was sad and she was addicted to the high life, and he said a whole lot of things about her being unstable and being angry and being upset all the time and wanting to kill herself. He even made a story that there was a time where a security guard had to help him save her life because Karabo was trying to kill herself. So this is the suicide theory, and I just want to kind of quickly get rid of it out of the way quickly. The security guard said that he does not remember that incident even happening. He has never been there like that. And Karabo's family and friends also said that she was not suicidal. She was not trying to die. She was actually very excited and very happy to be alive. And she was happy and excited about the future. So that theory goes back into the bin. And the third story was slightly not even slightly. The third story was definitely very, very interesting because he said, okay, fine, I wasn't there, but Karabo actually sacrificed herself. And wow, you wonder, sacrificed herself? He went on to tell a long tale about how a few months before that, Karabo had introduced him to a man called Master. And Master was, I guess, a prophet who dealt with like dark magic or stuff like that. And Master had performed a binding ritual, blood binding ritual between Karabo and Sandile, binding them for eternity and also to give them a prosperous life. But this binding ritual had a clause, and the clause in the binding ritual was that should the couple break up, one of them was going to have to die. And Sandile said that Karabo sacrificed herself for him. And I don't know what you will do with that, but he said that he wasn't even there. He said Karabo sacrificed herself by stabbing herself in the neck. He said a woman young woman of 22 years old took a knife and stabbed herself in the neck to sacrifice herself for him so that he doesn't have to die and so that the spell is not broken. Because I guess the spell is broken if you guys break up and one of you is not, like, if both of you guys are still alive and you guys break up, and then how is it going to work now? So for him to continue with the whole thing, one of them had to die. And Karabo sacrificed herself and stabbed herself in the neck. And he also, again, could not call the police because he was saying that the police were going to suspect him because he had been accused of abusing Karabo in the past. And I mean, do what you will with that story. But also that story did not come out of his mouth. It came out of the police that was testifying. And he has absolutely denied saying that till, I think even now, he's probably somewhere in jail denying that story. So that was a story that we heard from a police officer who was testifying on the stand. So with that, do what you will with it. It's a very interesting story. And one of the police officers actually, well, there's two accounts of the story actually. One police officer said that he believes the whole binding ritual stuff. He believes the ritualistic part of the story, but he doesn't believe that she killed herself because she said that her body was found. When her body was found, actually, it did not have a heart. So her heart was taken out. And another police officer who was also investigating this said that a lot of her organs were missing, not just the heart, but a lot of her inside organs were missing. So for them, this whole ritual story and wealth, human sacrifice thing made sense. But that was not the end of it. So he just says that he was so afraid that he was going to be accused of killing her, and that's why he disposed of her body. And he would get into a chilling tale of how he disposed of her body. And he still said that, he did not kill her, but he did definitely dispose of her body. And this is how he did it. He said he was not home when anything happened. He said he got back home and he found her dead. And that's when he was like, the police are going to say I did it, so I have to dispose of her body. I'm just going to chime in again with like a comment. And honestly, if you want to kill, no, not even if you want to kill, if you want to dispose of someone's body or somebody's found at your place dead and you don't want to be linked to it, I don't understand how you get to that whole idea of thinking that, maybe I should burn their body. So this is how the story of him actually disposing of her body was told. He said that he came back home and she was dead on the floor, and he panicked. He went downstairs, he got a bin, and he took the bin upstairs. He put her body in the bin, took the body into his car, and he drove to his parents' house where he picked up a tire wheel, where he picked up a tire and poolside exit, and he took a 5-liter bottle and went to the local nearest garage and got petrol. And that's when he drove her body to the location where it was found. He said that when he got there, he pulled her body out. He put her neck in between the tire iron, and he poured poolside acid on it, and then poured the petrol and lit her body on fire. And he said he left her there. And that's all he's admitting to. That's all he's ever really admitted to. And I think I've heard this account of the story so many times, and every time I hear it, it always sounds like he was just saying it with so much ease. And when someone is saying something with so much ease, it's like, wow, how much did you enjoy doing that? So anyway, after that, he said that, and honestly, at this point, I think he knew that he was gonna be charged with something, and he even offered to take the police to the crime scene where this body was found. And this is where the story backtracks to the first incident that I spoke about with the timeline that I opened the video with is to, so he went with the police to the crime scene, and when they got there, they found nothing. They could find rubble. They saw that somebody had been here burning something, but they couldn't find the body. And that's when the Morningside police officers contacted the Lyndhurst police station and asked and told them that they had a suspect that wanted to identify the body. So Sandile has went back on a lot of the claims that he made. He has said that the police did not notify him of his rights, and that some of the accounts were not right, and basically he just wanted his evidence to be thrown out of I guess of the court. And this is what he was charged with. And I mean, he has said a lot of things that he would really like to take back. And I don't know about, I mean, you can do whatever you will with that. But he was then arrested after that. The second he said that, he told the police of the story and everything. And actually at that time, when the Morningside police contacted the Lyndhurst police, Karabo's mother was still there, and she said, I'm going with you guys there. I want to see it. And when she got to the mortuary, she was like, I want to see my daughter's body. And they were like, no, ma'am, you can't see her body. Just try and, like, the way they would say it, like the way we've seen, I guess, the police tell us that, you know what, no, you are better off remembering this person the way you knew them. You don't want to see them like that. And she was like, I really need to see her body. I need to see her body. So they showed her body, but like still in a way that, she doesn't, isn't reminded of that for the rest of her life. And she said that she looked at the nail polish on her toes, and she said, that was my child. She said she does not even need DNA to confirm if that was her child, because she knows that that is her child. And a couple of days later, DNA actually confirmed that that was the body of 22-year-old, beautiful, beautiful, lovely young woman, Karabo Mokoena. And these were Sandile's charges. So the first charge that he was charged with was he was charged with premeditated murder, right? And the second one was, I guess it's a charge that they usually charge people here in South Africa with, defeating the ends of justice. Yes, basically you're charged with defeating the ends of justice. And his third charge was assault with intent to cause grievous bodily harm. Yes, I said it nicely. So his third charge was assault with intent to cause grievous bodily harm. And these were his charges. And he got 2 male lawyers that were going to plead his case, and his case resumed the following year, in 2018. And he actually was ducking and diving for a long time. He was ducking and diving. He didn't want his case to happen. There was a time when he was assaulted in jail, and he was just because I saw stories in the media that he was like, I've been assaulted in jail. And the media, I think, was saying he was sexually assaulted in jail. And I was like, what do you expect? Did you expect prison to be a nice little vacation? No. And it's always weird for me when criminals go to jail and they're like, oh my God, I am assaulted. And I'm like, you're not there because you were baking cupcakes and selling them. You're there because you assaulted someone. So deal with your karma. And that was the first thing he did to try and delay the case. It was just like, I'm assaulted, jail is my nice. And I always laugh at that when I say it. And the second thing that he tried to do to, I guess, stall the case from happening was he accused one of the police officers for wanting to tamper with evidence. So apparently one of the police officers came to him and said, you know what, I can make all of this disappear. And just to get out of that story a bit, this is something that happens a lot in South Africa, and it needs to stop. It needs to stop because so many criminals are walking the streets because the docket is missing. and they paid like measly amounts of money for the docket to go missing. He said that the police officer was asking him for a lot of money so that he could make his case disappear. And that is something that I feel like should have definitely been investigated on the side. But yeah, he should have not tried to make that something that was going to like make the case happen later on, or his trial happen later on. And then the case started. And I think during his case, all he wanted to do was he just wanted to paint himself as this nice guy who's trying to save this broken bird, and the broken bird broke. And I'm just like, excuse me, wait, you don't try and save a broken bird by beating it until it's dead. You don't do that. And he said that, he even said some of the most disgusting things. He said that Karabo's family knew that he was a good influence in her life. He was the reason that Karabo wanted to progress and do all these things. He was not abusing her, and he was a nice guy, and Karabo was troubled. Karabo was going through a lot. He even pointed out some of the things that happened in the past in Karabo's life, and he was just saying that, she was promiscuous because she had been sexually assaulted, and he was saying that she was used to a lifestyle that she couldn't afford, and he couldn't afford, I guess. I don't know why he put that in. I mean, and he said that Karabo used to date some guy who used to pay her used to give her 100,000 rand a month, and I was just like, girl, wow. And anyway, but all these things were not important. All these things were not important, and I think even now and even later, when people look at this case, like none of these things are ever going to be important because, and you still killed her, and you want us like, wow, now you just want to move away from the fact that you killed her. You want us to concentrate on the fact that she was promiscuous. We don't care about that. She's gone. You killed her. We want to hear what you have to say. And he said a lot of things. He said a lot of bad things, and I don't think he's ever apologized. All the pictures I've seen of him in the court, he's just like, yo, peace, man, peace, man, peace, man, what's up? And I guess he was enjoying jail. I guess jail was a really nice time. So yeah, he got sentenced on the 2nd of May to 32 years in prison. And he's been trying to appeal that sentence, but he doesn't have enough funds because his Forex stuff, and then, yeah, let me go back to that. His whole Forex thing and stock trading and stock, tutoring stuff was a fraud, and it was a lie, and he was just scamming people out of their money and living his lifestyle, scamming people like that. And the judge actually called him the devil. The judge was like, you're actually the devil. I don't know if the judge called him the devil because he was like, wow, why would you kill someone and then like steal parts of their body like that, and then be here and be like, I didn't do it, and then you're crying about how jail is so hard because you're a nice guy and stuff like that. And the judge actually called him a devil, and he was like, he's definitely a threat to society. And then he still gave him 32 years. And I was like, if he was such a big threat to society, why wasn't he given life? And South Africa is a nice little place where the judge gets to decide how much you get. I mean, obviously there's there's ranges and levels to these things. If you're charged with premeditated murder, the sentences range from here to here. And when you're charged with something else, they range from there to there. But yeah, so he's going to be spending the next probably 16 years in jail because that's another thing that happened in South Africa. It's going to be out on the streets very, very soon. And yeah, that's it with this case. I hope you liked it. Well, I'm not liked it like that, but I just hope you liked how I kind of combined everything and my structure of the way I started the story. I think it's always one of those cases that has always haunted me, even when I think about stuff like that. And I think even when I think about my friends, I'm always so cautious of, no, if he's doing that, he's gonna do this. And it's always one of those cases where we can always kind of like reference back to it and be like, do you remember what happened to her when that, do you remember her situation? Sort of like to, it keeps us like, I think it keeps most of us on our toes in terms of the relationships that we get into or the relationships that people get into. And I also like true crimes a lot because I get to identify how the criminal mind works. And obviously, like, we're never going to know all the criminals and how their minds work, but it's always better to have like an upper hand when it comes to like the criminal mind and how it works. Yes, I am Sina, and follow me. I'm going to try and include on the screen or maybe in the comments section on Twitter. It's at Red Cena on Twitter and on Instagram. I think I'm just going to change it also to Edward Cena on Instagram. And hope you enjoyed it.